everybody. Welcome back to Agape, Costa Rica. So good to see you again. It's been a while. But today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what seems to be the number one theme for people calling into me these days of Corona, the global pandemic, the global dis-ease, the shift, the awakening to a new world. And that is how people are dealing with depression and the fact that their lives have come to a complete halt, or things in their lives have changed so dramatically that it is ushering in bad energy inside of the consciousness, the body of the individual, and sadness or depression or discomfort. Let's nip that in the bud. Let's take care of that today. How about that? It's really hard, all right? People are losing their jobs, people are getting sick, people are dying, people are confused about the news, there's international strife everywhere, the list goes on and on. But ultimately, if we allow ourselves to fall into a state of depression, what that really means is that we're assuming our mind, okay, we don't want to be ruled by our mind, remember, we want to be ruled by the heart, but we're humans having a human experience, and the mind, ego, is often taking control of the vehicle we're driving, heart-centered. So what happens is that the mind says, everything that is happening now, everything that I'm experiencing now is what is, and it's forever. And there's this imprint that our mind takes on as, oh, I'm trapped in this reality, when that's not true at all. So how do you conquer depression? What you do is you change the way you think about time. Let's talk about that. Number one, we have to remember that this is a dream. This is really important to remember, okay? This human incarnation is just a microsecond in your soul's evolution. And let's deal with the science and the facts and the laws of nature and the laws of the universe first before we allow ourselves to fall in depression. The way we do that is, number one, to think about our life contract and what happens when we die. Because if you can really understand what happens to you, what happens to your soul, what happens to your physical body in this incarnation, when you die and cross over, you will instantly be relieved of the pain and suffering of the human condition, because the human condition suffering is not in alignment with the history and the total global story of your soul. Just as a footprint before we begin this next part, remember, we have over 13 million cases in terms of testimonials about people who have crossed over. So what I'm going to tell you now about soul contracts is not just what I personally know to be my internal truth, my awareness of the spiritual being that I am. It's also backed up by testimonials. Again, the science is prolific. Okay, so let's just assume that we're on that page. All right, so just imagine that when you leave this incarnation and you go through that tunnel and you sit with Spirit, God, the universe, source, the energy, whatever word you want to use for that which cannot be named, and you sit there in the essence of that, and then you get to experience everything you've done in your entire lifetime, from the moment you took your first breath till the moment of your last breath when you exited this incarnation. That is on like a time frame film, as a movie, kind of think of it as a movie, and you get to witness that. Okay? That's called your life review, and we all will be able to do that. All right? Now, you may say, how does she know that? Well, I don't know it for a fact. I don't have any credentials to show you. I can just tell you that I experienced that for myself, and I remember it. I remember experiencing that. So when I tell you something, it's either because I personally experienced it, or I've done so much crazy research on it, i.e. the NDE experiences, that I finally found that there were 13 million, testimonials. It's called studying. So I'm not just shooting out from my ass, people. I actually either have a personal attachment to the story or I've researched it. So let's just go with the flow and understand that you get to review your whole life from beginning to end when you're in this afterlife experience. Now, you say, what does that have to do with depression? Let me explain it. Okay. So the beauty is that in your life review, you get to experience not only your own emotions, but every emotion of any individual you have ever touched or come in contact with. So technically, your life review is not just an experience of your entire global life event as whatever you named yourself to be, but also everyone you affected, anyone you came in contact with, and all of their emotions as well, goes into one big soup, the collective you. Okay? So let's assume that to be true. Now, what does that again have to do with depression? Right now, we're in 2020, okay? And we've got this global pandemic, and it sucks. A lot of people are sick. A lot of people are losing their jobs. It's a tough time. Okay. So therefore, let's just take this moment in time right now to catapult ourselves into a space-time dimension where we've left our body. In other words, let's just pretend you are me, or I am you, okay? I, Sally, I'm dead, all right? See you later, Sally Rice, in this incarnation. Nice life, thank you very much. Crossing over, gone through the tunnel. I'm sitting with Spirit God, and I'm looking at my whole life right now, and I'm looking at 2020. I'm looking at September 22nd going, there I am. Oh, look at me in 2020 having a bad day. I'm depressed. So instead of identifying with me, the physical incarnation, having a human experience locked in this body of energy, frequency, and vibration in a petri dish consumed by the physical body of not knowing the big picture, I am instead, in my life review, reviewing this moment where I feel depressed. So therefore, the bigger me, the whole me, that knows my infinity of all my lifetimes, past, present, and future, because time is not linear, and you know that this tiny little incarnation where you are called so and so is only a grain of sand in the ocean of your soul's evolution. So therefore, if you take your depression, put it in a little tiny cubicle, and catapult yourself in consciousness, awareness, to that place where you are the visitor, the witness of your whole life after you've crossed over, and you're looking at the moment where you are depressed, you will instantly be freed. I am so much more. I am witnessing my moment called Sally in the human incarnation, this limited space-time dimension. I'm witnessing it from my full global self, my higher self, with the awareness of spirit saying, ooh, look at me transforming, having a moment of revelation, because that's what it is. Because depression ultimately is the lack of power of you understanding your soul's journey. If you know your soul's journey and you know who you are in the heart center, you cannot get depressed, because you know where depression comes from? The brain. The brain is depression central, not the heart. If you are heart centered, you cannot be depressed. So we want to change from being mindset, locked into the idea that this moment in time is it. Break that mold, speak from the heart, from the perspective of the witness, having the human incarnation, knowing that this is a moment in time in my soul's evolution, and therefore I break the chain of depression. It's easy as pie.
So hey Sally, do you think depression is a mindset, or do you think it's like a personality thing, or where do you think depression itself comes from to begin with?
Okay, Number one, I think there's two different types of depression, all right? Number one, absolutely, there are people who have chemical imbalances, and I acknowledge that there is clinical depression based on chemical imbalances, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a healthy mind, a healthy individual who somehow falls into the trap of depression. And that is absolutely 100% a mindset. Because if you are heart-centered, you cannot be depressed. All right, I don't want to say that I've never had a bad day, because I have, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what loneliness is. I don't know what depression is. I don't know what that feels like, because it's never happened to me, although I witness people in it, and it is very obvious that those individuals are trapped in the mental landscape of what they conceive reality to be. And like I said before, if you understand that you are witnessing your life, as in be in this world but not of it, and be a spiritual being, heart-centered, there's no way that depression can ever enter your cosmic field, because they're incongruent. They don't go together. Spiritual awakening and connective tissue to the spirit realm does not allow for depression to exist. They don't go together. I just want everybody to be joyful, all right? Because I know it's possible. It doesn't matter what's happening in your dreamscape. Let's give an example to this. Okay, I know you dream. You know you dream. Sometimes you have nightmares. Do you wake up from a nightmare, say where your brother or your sister or your wife or your husband is in that nightmare, and you're like mad at them, and you wake up in the morning and go, "You motherfucker! You messed me up in my dream! I don't like you anymore." Would you ever do that? No, that'd be ridiculous, right? You wouldn't get mad at somebody in a dream. So why are we upset with what's going on in the dream space here on planet Earth in this moment in time in 2020, having the coronavirus? Big deal. It's a dream. Maybe for some a nightmare. We're going to talk about that, how the coronavirus affects people differently depending on where you are in your cosmic scale and what experience you're going to have in this pandemic. But would you really get mad at somebody after you woke up from a dream because they didn't perform right in your dream? You wouldn't do that. So in other words, be chill. Know that all is well. It's just a dream. It lasts a microsecond in time. You're fine. Be happy. Figure out what you can do in this pandemic to make it better. But know that definitely you'll be put to the test. And don't be depressed.